On behalf of Akuno Senko for Bay, you know what I'm saying? Jay, where you at? We're trying to help our people elevate. Hope, H-O-P-E. We're giving them hope. We doing what we gotta do, you know. Every day, one step at a time, man. We gonna make it happen. Helping our people elevate. Yeah. Sometimes I practice focus, thought, and meditate. I'm trying to come with other ways to help our people elevate. And seeking knowledge make me levitate. The lifted mental state is what results from how we orchestrate. This for the family's sake. Let's self-reflect and self-evaluate. And every day, make sure the steps you take, you calculate. Receive a master's fate. I know I can't exist without the hate, but that's okay. I balance that with higher self today. Success is on this way, and after that, my flesh can pass away.
Two brothers were sentenced to prison more than 30 years ago and were innocent. Welcome back to The Hope, helping our people elevate, where we uncover untold stories of injustice, resilience, and the fight for truth. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the deep dives into history, wrongful convictions, and the realities that they don't want you to know. Today, we're shedding light on one of the most heartbreaking cases of wrongful convictions in American history, the story of Henry McCollum and Leon Brown. Two brothers, barely old enough to understand what was happening, sentenced to die for a crime they never committed. Let's get into
it. He ain't touched his sister in 31 years. Thank you, Jesus.
Leon Brown was 15 when he was arrested.
I fought this battle with the help of God. I'm here today.
Henry McCollum was 20 when he was sentenced to death.
They took 30 years away from me for no reason, but I don't hate them.
His first lesson in freedom was how to buckle his seatbelt before driving off from prison.
You pull it down like that.
The half-brothers were convicted for the rape and murder of 11-year-old Sabrina Buie. The child was found dead in a soybean field with her underwear stuffed down her throat. Brown and McCollum signed a confession written by police after hours of questioning.
In 1983, the brutal rape and murder of 11-year-old Sabrina Buie in Red Springs, North Carolina, shook the small town. Her body was found in a field covered with sticks and leaves. With no physical evidence or witnesses linking anyone to the crime, law enforcement was under immense pressure to make an arrest. Henry McCollum, 19, and his 15-year-old half-brother Leon Brown both had intellectual disabilities, making them vulnerable during police interrogations. Officers, desperate to close the case, brought them in and subjected them to intense questioning. After hours of interrogation without an attorney or guardian present, police fed them with details about the crime. McCollum, exhausted and scared, signed a false confession, believing it would allow him to go home. Brown, even younger, more frightened, later confessed as well, not fully understanding the consequences. These confessions became the sole basis of their conviction, despite a complete lack of physical evidence connecting them to the crime. At trial, prosecutors painted the teenagers as cold-blooded killers despite contradictions in their statements. McCollum was sentenced to death, while Brown received life in prison. Brown later had his sentence reduced to life in mental institution, while McCollum spent nearly 3 decades on death row. The case was so controversial that even the U.S. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia cited it as a reason to uphold the death penalty, claiming it was an example of a truly heinous crime deserving of execution. In 2010, the North Carolina Innocence Inquiry Commission took on the case, re-examining the evidence. DNA testing was conducted on the only forensic evidence available, cigarette butts found near the crime scene. The results were shocking. The DNA did not match McCollum or Brown. Instead, it matched Roscoe Artis, a convicted rapist and murderer who lived nearby and had committed a nearly identical crime just weeks after Sabrina Buie's murder. Artis had never been investigated despite his history of sexual violence. With this irrefutable evidence, McCollum and Brown were exonerated in 2014 after spending 31 years behind bars for a crime they didn't commit. After their release, the two men struggled to adjust to the life outside prison. In 2021, a federal jury awarded them $75 million, one of the largest wrongful conviction settlements in U.S. history. However, no one from the law enforcement was ever held accountable for their wrongful convictions. Their case remains an example of injustice in American history, highlighting the dangers of coerced confessions and the death penalty.
Why did police zero in on them?
Basically, it started with a rumor at school.
Ann Kirby is Leon Brown's attorney. What went wrong here?
Well, there were so many things that went wrong. Number one, no physical evidence tying either Leon or Henry to the crime. And basically, the police stopped after the confessions.
The North Carolina Innocence Inquiry Commission picked up the case, and 2 months ago linked DNA evidence on a beer can and a cigarette butt found at the crime scene to another convicted murderer and rapist. He lived close by. Yesterday, a judge threw out Brown and McCollum's convictions. The men, who were described as mentally challenged, still had to spend one more night in jail, but there was no containing the joy of McCollum's stepmother, Priscilla.
Our prayers are out for the Sabrina Buie family. We're praying for them, and we are so glad that justice was served and the truth finally came forth.